It's great to be back. In the next half an hour, meet the chorus worker who trusted his redundancy money would be as safe as houses.
I feel like we've been conned, cheated. The mortgage is over £2,000 a month, which is why it's impossible to meet.
If you're made redundant, you'd want to be sure any payout you get is used wisely. So how mad would you be if the investment advice you're given turns sour? I've been hearing from families who claim the deals set up by a Teesside businessman have left them facing ruin. We're talking mind-blowing figures. A £500 million property scheme.
I feel like we've been conned, cheated.
Glossy brochure. Catalogue of problems.
We were just fodder, just another commission, and we were just used.
And I'm here to find out how what started out as
A cast-iron investment.
crumbled before their eyes. It all started on Teesside, and an independent financial advisor who's meeting Dave and Judy Biggs.
I knew I was getting made redundant from chorus. I wanted somewhere to invest part of my money, the lump sum, in Cyprus.
So they're shown a DVD of St. George Hills. Apparently a new dawn in investment opportunities. It's a resort being built in Cyprus. The idea? Buy an apartment off-plan, then sell as soon as it's finished.
So after 3 years, you're looking at £60,000 profit. Sit back, sell it on, and make a profit.
Simple as that.
As simple as that. That's the way it was sold.
Because the guy wasn't a salesman. He was Andrew Laird, a director of Teesside estate agents Rosebery Newhouse, and trusted for giving sound financial advice.
He'd been our financial advisor for 10 years. And it looked like a good investment, low mortgage for us to afford, good rentable properties, and we liked the sound of it.
Andrew Laird was arranging the sale of all the apartments under the name of Rosebery Overseas Property, or ROP UK.
They were going to do it all for you, hassle-free.
ROP UK sold apartments for a developer in Cyprus, Alpha Panaretti. And to shift hundreds of properties, Andrew Laird had an army of independent financial advisors across Britain.
I just wanted to find another way of paying off the mortgage before I was 65, but instead he brings up the subject of investing in overseas property.
None of the risks were mentioned at all. It was all kind of confident, and you really should get involved in this, otherwise you're going to be left out in the cold.
So, all the building blocks are in place. The investors, the financial advisors, all selling under the banner of Teesside-based company ROP UK.
And that's where we get it right. Getting it right means engendering trust.
To gain that trust, ROP UK had one trump card. The phrase
Due diligence.
came up again
Due diligence.
and again.
Due diligence.
Due diligence meant they thoroughly investigated the potential investment. Great. But what happened next might make your toes curl. I've come here because buyers who dealt with Andrew Laird and his company ROP UK say they're tied to paying crippling amounts of money for properties that they might not ever own, and are not even finished yet. Oh, when were the builders last here? When were they doing any work? I wanted to start at the beginning, with the information brochures ROP UK gave to buyers, and I've arranged to meet a leading local surveyor. He's agreed to look at a ROP UK buyer's guide.
Now I can understand why all these overseas buyers were coming to Cyprus and buying. It looks great.
Yeah.
I would buy one.
Would you buy one?
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
It may look great, but he says he's found questionable calculations, exaggerations, and even a tax added that they don't have to pay. Yet in a document given by an independent advisor, what he struggled to find is independent advice.
If I'm making a reasonable investment in something, I want to be told the good and the bad things about it. I want to be known the risks. I think it's a very optimistic brochure, and a brochure that fails to highlight the various risks involved.
One risk is that you might end up paying double the original ROP UK estimate for your mortgage. How?
Many of these mortgages tended to be in a foreign currency, Swiss francs, and there was no explanation of how that fluctuation in that currency may increase the payments that people needed to make on a monthly basis.
There's more. Our buyers all say the bank in Cyprus is charging them far more interest than they'd been led to expect by ROP UK. So, why sign up? Well, the investors say they didn't. It was their lawyers in Cyprus that ROP UK had recommended who signed the deal.
We didn't see any terms of the loan, no details of the mortgage whatsoever.
You've been lumbered with a mortgage that you don't really understand.
Absolutely, you don't know anything about, nothing at all, and it certainly isn't anything like Andrew Laird told us it was going to be. How stupid are we? What have we done? But when we've talked to everybody else, and there are 200, 300, 400 people who've been told the exact same story.
And the result of all that? A nightmare they can't escape from. How much are you now in for?
About 350,000 on a property which cost us 200,000. The mortgage is over £2,000 a month, which is it's impossible to meet.
So, does that sound like... There's another problem. In Cyprus, it's notoriously difficult to get hold of your title deeds, the bit of paper that says you own your house.
Let's assume that this is the property you've bought, right, and it's on this bit of land, and the developer has also a number of other properties he's building here. You sign the contract, you hand all your money over, and you move into the property.
Right, so give me my deeds.
Sorry, you can't have them.
Why?
You can't have these deeds until this complete development, could have 200 apartments, is completed. I've known people who've waited more than 20 years to get their title deeds.
And that's bad, because it means it's much harder to sell your property. All our buyers say this was never explained to them. You think it's ROP UK's responsibility?
Oh yes, oh yeah, absolutely, yes.
Rather than the individual buyer?
Oh yes, yes. I mean, they're you know, you don't buy a new car from somebody and then ask have you put any oil in it, do you?
So when it says in ROP UK's material, in Cyprus property conveyancing is almost a mirror image of the English conveyancing system, what do you make of that?
Well, that's very, very misleading.
The buyers are already down around 30 grand, their deposits, and now the bank is asking for mortgage payments from some of them. So what have they got to show for it? First stop, a resort buyers thought would be finished nearly 2 years ago. More weeds than water in the swimming pool. Of course, the rest of it is still a building site. And up there is the penthouse Dave and Judy Biggs are waiting for. ROP UK gave them an update in 2009. Even in the global crisis, the resale value was €410,000.
Yes.
It makes you laugh.
It makes me laugh because it's completely off the market.
What's it worth today?
I think you'll be looking at 130, maybe 140,000 euros.
Remember, they say their mortgage is 350,000 and rising.
The mortgage was taken out against our property.
So you could lose your home in the UK?
We could lose our home, yes.
In a statement, the developer told us the buyers had a personal responsibility to understand the terms of their contract, to do their own due diligence. It said the decision to buy was based on information passed on by the UK advisor, and some buyers insisted everything went through the agent. The developer said it was ROP UK that allocated the Cypriot lawyers who had a duty to point out problematic issues. Alpha Panaretti said it couldn't be responsible for the impact on buyers' ability to pay caused by the global financial crisis. What about where Olwen Harrison from Stockton bought? Alpha Panaretti has had nearly all her mortgage money.
I would expect for that, apart from the furniture ready to move in, I would have thought. Wouldn't you?
I don't quite know how to break this to you. So what has Alpha Panaretti done with her loan money? Because it hasn't been spent here. When were you expecting to be handed the keys?
September 2010.
Oh, well, you can have the keys, but there's no door to put them in.
If it was finished, it's a big if, you'd be looking around 70 to 80,000 euros at best.
I mean, her mortgage is going to be, she reckons, in the 200 to 300,000 bracket. For a property worth 70 now.
Yes.
What you're telling us is what we suspected. I'm gutted, yeah.
I know she's smiling, sort of, and has almost got a laugh in her voice, but that's only because she's been through this for so long.
She probably would have been more amazed if I'd said it was ready, to be honest with you.
Alpha Panaretti says all payments it had from buyers' mortgage accounts were authorised by the bank surveyor based on how much of the whole development was completed. We didn't see any evidence of ongoing building work here, or here, but Alpha Panaretti insists work has never stopped. It doesn't deny delays in completion, it blames the world financial crisis. Strikes, government interference, poor winter weather, the local electricity supplier, and some buyers who've withheld payments. The situation's getting political. MEPs have asked the European Commission if it can act against what one has even described in a parliamentary question in April as a fraudulent property scheme. The Commission is investigating with the Cypriot government. Alpha Panaretti vigorously denies the MEP's claim and says it will respond to the Commission when they get in touch. So what does ROP UK say?
Their big message is really it's nothing to do with us, Gov. I think that in reality it was clear that what they provided was a very influential part of the whole business.
I've been doing a little bit of digging, and it turns out that Andrew Laird's bought a property, only this one isn't in Cyprus. I came here to speak to Andrew Laird, but apparently we've heard that he doesn't want to talk because he's involved in legal action. He might be keeping his cards close to his chest, but I just want some answers.